Welcome to the Local Government Climate Lounge at the United Nations Climate Conference in Copenhagen. I welcome Mayor Marcelo Ebrard, Mayor of the city of Mexico City. You were born actually as the son of an architect, and you grew up with awareness of the importance of the built environment, I guess. And later you studied public policy and international relations, and so you connected the city with the globe, with the world. You are now the mayor of Mexico City, one of the world's largest megacities. And looking at all the problems you are dealing with, you have to deal with public housing, with sewage, with waste management, with building disaster resilience, and so on. Is there room for you to think about the global climate?
Well, you know, in Mexico City, and I think in several cities of the world, the climate change today is one of the main risks for the city. In Mexico City case, we have very clear changes the past years in the warm situation of the city, which means the summers are warmest. But also we have more dry city like in the past. At the same time, we have the risk of flooding because Mexico City was built in a lake. So as you can see, I should think about climate change every day because it's a very important risk for the city in the short term. It's not a theoretical idea about, you know, global issues. It's about life or death in the city.
That's logical, that's quite clear. So nowadays, a mayor cannot just disregard the climate. The climate and its impacts of climate change come into the city. Now, exactly. The cities hold half of the world's population, and by the year 2030, it may be 2/3 of humanity living in cities. And while cities only cover hardly 0.5% of the land surface of the globe, they account for 70% of the global GDP. So cities are the hubs of the economy. And so they can be part of the solution. And we know about 2,800 cities in the world that have set their own climate targets, their own CO2 reduction targets, that have established climate action plans voluntarily. And so some experts say national governments should just empower cities and let them do the job, and then national governments would meet their climate targets through the cities. So what do you think about the scenario of the cities saving the global climate?
For me, it makes sense to have more support from the national governments and international organizations to the cities. Because if you took a look about what's going on with the cities, you can find in North America, in Mexico, and Europe certainly, that the cities are taking more commitment in the short term than the national government. So it seems to me that the cities can be the most important support and pressure to take decisions in the short term, fastly and profoundly than the national governments. So I think so. I think that it makes sense for this.
So the metropolitan area of Mexico is of Mexico City comprises, I think, 18 million people. So it's one of the largest cities of the world. And such a metropolis is actually larger than 120 or 150 of the smallest UN member states. Those member states are proudly sitting at the table at the United Nations with a seat and a vote. Cities don't. Would you think there should be a place for cities in global decision making?
I think that the cities should be invited to the negotiations through certain kind of, you know, representation, which is not the orthodox of the diplomacy on the world, not yet. Should be the new way to take decisions and to really be effective, not only a political show about negotiations, but more than this. So we should propose and demand a seat or a way to participate in the negotiations. because the cities, I think, have more practical approach about this and more commitment made than any other level of government.
That's certainly true. On a personal basis, you have been working for your city for a long time.
Yes.
And you are known to have resolved a lot of conflicts and issues and problems. You have worked also on an environmental improvement agenda, so your way back on your environmental work goes back many years. So when you look back at those years, was there a moment where you feel you were highly frustrated about, and was there a moment where you said, I'm really successful?
Well, good question. I can say the worst in the, this kind of commitment about environment is when you found certain obstacles, very, very important ones, like for instance, the quality of fuel in Mexico, or diesel in Mexico, which is an important thing. Okay. Anytime that you found those kind of obstacles, it's very frustrating. But on the other hand, when you see the people changing their behavior in the city, using bike or changing leaving the car on the garage in the house and taking a bus. So those are the important things when you can say, hey, we are going to win this battle. Because the people are changing behavior. It's sending a message that the life in the city can be very different. So those are the opposite sentiments. No?
Yeah. Mayor Ebrard, you are the new chair of the World Mayors Council on Climate Change. Do you have a message at this stage to your colleagues around the world?
Well, we want to open the table to the cities, the first task for the next year, for the next COP, the 16th. This is going to be an important goal for the next year. Second, so we are organizing in Mexico City a largest meeting with the mayors all over the world just before the next COP 16 in order to present a very powerful front in order to pressure the national governments, but also to propose new ideas about how to get the results that we need in this decade, not the next one. So I think that the cities can be really another actor in this situation that can pressure and open doors for a new negotiations for the next year. This is a very serious matter, the climate change. So we can't leave this issue to the national governments only.
Thank you, Mayor Ebrard from Mexico City at the Local Government Climate Lounge in Copenhagen. It was time for real questions.